Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Derek, and I'm here to remind you of your birthright of happiness. If you'd like to skip the introduction and just go to the message, go to this time in the video. I'm a videographer and independent movie director. I recently just had the epiphany, why don't I use my abilities that I've learned, my skills in video, to spread good news and things that I've learned personally in my self-development journey and my spirituality journey. Everybody is given some kind of wound in their life. It can be from their peers. Most of the time it's from their parents. There's no perfect marriage, and the problems of the parents trickles down to the children. I myself received a wound of a father that was kind of checked out, kind of absent, not in presence, but in his mind, in his heart. And the things that I suffered from that were anxiety. I had a lot of social anxiety growing up, struggled with confidence issues. I struggled with a misconception of spirituality and religion that kept a wall between me and a lot of people in my life. There's a book on this called Wild at Heart, and I really recommend this book. This talks about basically the wounds that we receive when we're children from our parents, and especially men that they receive from their fathers, and how this affects them and how they can get over it. And what I'd really like to do is share the things that I've learned through self-improvement, through spirituality, which have helped me tremendously. I remember being in positions where I felt that I could not get over some of the problems that I was having, like the social anxiety problems, the confidence problems. It seemed like a mountain. And I remember starting out, it seemed like, oh, it's not for me. You know, being a confident or person who's not shy or anything is just not for me, when in reality it's something I'm born with, something that we're all born with. When we look at children, you see how social they are. Unless somebody has taught them not to be, that's their natural state of confidence, social, expressive, moving around a lot, moving their body, enjoying the movement of their body, which we'll talk about later about exercise and fitness. So I'd like to share experiences that I've had, things that I've learned, great quotes that I've learned as well, that hopefully the viewer can apply to their life. So today what I would really like to share is following your heart and what that means and why you should do it. So I grew up from an early age knowing what I wanted to do. So I was about 13, and I remember I wanted to get into film and video and narrative, and this has just stuck with me all my life. There have been many times where things just worked out for me when I was following my heart, and people were just surprised, and they were just commenting on how lucky I am, right? So first I want to share a quote with you. I love this quote. It's, "When you trust in yourself, you trust in the same wisdom that created you." So as we all know, our hearts have desires. Many people say, if you don't know the answer, follow your heart, trust your heart. So I think something that a lot of people struggle with is knowing that the desires of their heart are meant to be, or believing or having faith that they will be fulfilled. I want to make an analogy. It's not the best analogy, but it's an analogy that's something we can see. So men, you all have something in between your legs, right? You have a penis, you have testicles, you have a desire to seek a woman, or you have a desire to have intercourse, right? And there's evidence right here showing you that you can have intercourse, you can produce offspring. It's just like an evidence that the desire in your heart is matching evidence around you. Is a reminder that what we're meant to experience is also aligned with what our heart's desire is. So the next thing that gets in our way naturally is fear. What if it doesn't happen? What if we lose our resources? What if we lose our comfort when chasing our dream? There's another quote that I like in response to that is, our comfort zone is where we are least comfortable. So look at Michael Jordan. I believe he said something like the way that he got so good was failing so many times when he was throwing the basketball. And it was all about failure, and that's how he became great. There's another quote I really like along the lines that says, the difference between a master and a student is that the master has failed more times than the student has tried. Get comfortable with failing. And when I'm working on some big project, what I would do is it's not always an uphill thing. It's like I would try something, it would fail. I would try something else and it would fail. And I don't see it as failure. I see it as I'm learning what doesn't work. It's like when Benjamin Franklin made the light bulb. He tried thousands of materials for making the light bulb, and someone told him, you know, you've failed thousands of times. And he said, no, I discovered thousands of materials that don't make the light bulb. So you gotta just change your mentality of what you're doing, and it's all about the progress, and it's all about living in the present moment and enjoying the path. So when you reach your mountain that you're trying to climb, when you reach the summit, there's always going to be another mountain. So the best thing you can do is learn to get out of your comfort zone every day and learn to be totally happy, totally fine with failure, and learn to enjoy the progress, because progress is happiness. Just a little fun example, when I was shooting a film in Japan, because I lived in Asia for about 10 years and I got back about 4 months ago. Before the day of shooting, there was a silicone hand that we needed to craft, and we didn't have it. There wasn't enough time to get it. And it needed to be an exact match of my actress, who the makeup artist had never met before. When the time came for shooting, he said, you know what, I'll just bring this silicone hand that I have, that we'll just see what we can do with it. I don't know, you know, maybe it'll work. And he brought it, and my actress was surprised. She's like, hey, how did you get my hand so perfectly when you've never met me? And we compared. She took a picture between her hand and the silicone hand that he brought, and it was just a perfect match. And I was surprised, everybody was surprised. And that just reminded me that things work out when you're following your heart. Also, when I was making my movie, for example, there was a location that we needed, which seemed so hard to get, and the budget wasn't going to support it. We needed a banquet hall type thing. In the story, it's for like rich people, right? It's kind of high class, yeah. So just days before the shooting of that scene, the cameraman was late that day. There was something with his taxi that went wrong, and so as a result, the product manager had to go out and go to the bus stop. And so when he went to the bus stop, he noticed a funeral home company. So it's like I'm not sure if it's here in America, but in Japan they have like these companies that help out with funerals. I'm not quite sure, but they have this huge building, and it's just this really nice space for events. And then they have this other space that's like a tatami room, kind of meeting room. And my production managers just went in and started talking to them and said, hey, we're making this movie and we would love to use your place. We didn't offer money or anything like that, but they said, okay. And they just said, yeah, you can come in and use it. So for a whole day. And so just days before that shoot on that day, we were able to go in and use that space. And it was just the perfect space that I imagined. And just another example briefly is the main location for my film. I had a location that I thought was secure up until like 4 days before the shoot. And by the way, this is a horror movie. It's more like a psychological thriller. The guy that had the house ready for me, he told me days before, you know what, actually the owner changed his mind and said, you can't shoot here. And I just felt like, oh man, everything that I set up, that I did, I did the auditions, I did all the location scouting. I had people that said, like, if we're not going to shoot soon, I'm not going to be in the project because it's just taking too long to get everything set up. And I'm like, oh man, the project is over. That's what I felt at the moment. But then the guy said, you know what, there's this church that I know next door, let's just go ask them. And it's crazy that a horror movie would be able to be shot at a church. What church would agree to that, right? But I just knew in my heart that it's going to work out. So I went out to the church, I talked to the pastor, and I told them it's a scary movie, it's a horror movie, and they just let me do it. Anyway, I don't want to get into the details, but it worked out, and it's crazy, like a horror movie being shot in a big church. So who knew? So I've seen other cultures in my travels in Asia where there's a lot less critical thinking than there is in America. I think critical thinking is great, but our education system still doesn't teach us some things that I wish that I had learned. For example, getting into self-improvement, following your dream, also finances, a lot of things. But basically our topic about following your dream, it's not really taught in our education system, and so there's not a deep-seated, desire. Our education system teaches us to be good citizens. That is the whole goal of the government for having schools, is to create good, loyal citizens that will do whatever it takes to build the country. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I believe that everybody, if they were following their dream, the world would be a better place. That's just what I want to put out there about following your dream. And I really hope that you do that, because most of your time that you're going to spend in your life is going to be at work. I mean, your waking hours, you're going to be spending 40 hours a week doing something. And I really hope that you guys find something that you love doing when it just feels like you're not working, you're just doing something that you enjoy, and something that you would do even if you're not getting paid for it. So there's one more quote that I like that I wanted to tell you. Basically, you can fail doing what you don't like. So why don't you try doing what you do like? I know I didn't say that right, but it's basically goes like that. Of course, make the right decision, be smart about it. You know, if you're in a position where you need the money, you don't have the money to start a whole new career, go ahead and do a side job while you're working on that career. Or even while the job that you're doing right now, you know, a full-time job, just keep it, but work on the side towards your dream. That's what I would really encourage. The thing I want to leave you with now is people that are on their deathbed, the last thing that they say is not about regrets about what they did, but it's regrets about what they didn't do. Look at the nature. Look around you. You see that there are the animals, they take risks every day when they want to get their food. So life is all about risks, and it's about danger, and that is a good thing. And don't let society tell you that it's not a good thing to take risks. So thank you for watching, and if this message is helpful to somebody you know, go ahead and share it with them. Have a good one.